We all have our favorite environments that we like to do this wargaming thing with Battletech. And while I am ready to fight over all environments, I do prefer city fight, city tech. If you were like, Fritz, what do you want to play this Friday? I'm like, let's pull out all the buildings. Let's pull out the parks. Let's pull out the memorials. Let's pull out like the roads and the cars and just let's fight in this city thing and explode buildings and just have that urban type environment. But separated from that to framework it, the maps, I want to have answers for all maps. And this goes into kind of mech building where if you have 8K battle value, well, 8K is not enough, right? We want like 12, but let's say we got 8K battle value. There's a couple of ways you could build that out. If I know the mission ahead of time is going to be city fight, city tech, I'm loading up on pure city fight. Absolutely, right? SRM carriers, Banshee brawlers, all type of stuff. I'm going to have long-range missiles, infantry for indirect fire. We're going to have some flamers. We're going to have some tanks. We're going to do all that. If I'm fighting on, say, a desert-type map, I don't want to get caught with some SRM carriers and Irby, although I'll probably still bring along Irby for the lulls. You need to adjust your list. Sometimes you know the environment you're going to fight in. Other times you don't. And if you don't know, then I have to kind of make a decision. Do I play a list of auto includes? And this idea of auto includes, I pushed up to my Battletech channel. There are just certain mechs in the game that whatever situation they find themselves in, they're solid. They work. Auto include, trooper mech. A lot of ways to say this, right? Catapult is the perfect example. Good punch, good range, good mobility, good arms. Good arms and armor. No arms as in it doesn't have arms. It can't pick stuff up. But a catapult is just solid wherever it finds itself. Compared to, say, a fire starter or an urban mech. Love those mechs. Outside of select environments, or a Vulcan would be a better example, they don't excel. So I don't want to be playing a bunch of Vulcans and fire starters and urban mechs and find myself in a desert scenario with no infantry, no vehicles, all against mechs. I'm going to be in trouble for the battle value. So sometimes you build a list where you want to not be focused on something. I want to take a little bit of everything. Likewise, I play sometimes where I'm just feeling something, right? Often what we'll play, if we don't know what we're going to play, we build our lists ahead of time. And then under the table, we've got about 35 hex maps. We just cycle through them. No one sees, and you just, draw out a hex map. That's what we're playing on. There have been times I've geared up the urban wrecking crew ready to go. And it's like, well, you're on a desert map and here's two little sand dunes and I'm going to be in trouble. I know that going in. So within that framework, not only list building, my least favorite maps. Now, as a mech commander, as a mech warrior, there is no least favorite. You got to adapt. You got to overcome. You got to win for the glory of your house or the mercenary company, the contract, getting those C-bills with the minimal amount of losses and the most salvage that I can walk away with. But desert maps, I find them hard to fight on because lots of large open spaces. And what that usually means is where there is some terrain availability. Terrain is either going to be elevation or complete blocking line of sight. There's going to be these like pockets where you're trying to control the best that you can. And it's almost like I find like in similar games like Chain of Command where I have to enter fortified trenches. When we were playing that, it's very hard. If you're on a desert type map and there's some sand dunes and a hill, then if you're clustered up there, you've got some elevation, you're hidden behind stuff, I've got to take that area. I'm going to take some losses kind of moving in. So tactically speaking, I probably will charge because I want that glory, but the best thing would be to kind of sit back and snipe and wait and try to wait long enough to get some lucky shots and then kind of move in. So I find that the action is very straightforward and there's less tactical options where the terrain literally, the terrain always influences your tactical options, but the terrain primarily really only gives you the least amounts in that type of map. So we have a bunch. We play them. You go with where you got to go to get those C-bills and that tabletop glory. But that's my least favorite. The ones in the middle is kind of everything else, right? Woodlands. We've got some mix of woodlands / starbase. We've got other elevations and hills and mountains. Those are good. And of course, City Fight, City Tech is my absolute favorite. But I put that framework in there because it's not about just building the lance in Battletech. That is important, but it's being able to match the lance to the terrain and how to utilize the lances or your battle group when the terrain favors you or when the terrain does not favor you.